Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I'm going to be talking about an e-bike company that I honestly didn't even know existed until I attended the CES convention in Las Vegas, which I'll tell you right now was an absolutely incredible experience. And I'm really happy that I ran into this company because their bike display at CES was absolutely impressive. And this wasn't your regular booth at CES. Like, they had a ton of real estate, floor to ceiling displays showcasing the latest and greatest of their products. And the company that we're going to be talking about today is AIMA E-Bikes. Now, this is not a small player in the industry. It turns out AIMA actually owns manufacturing facilities that crank out over 12 million e-mobility products per year, which include e-bikes, electric mopeds, e-motorcycles, e-utility vehicles, you name it. And as it turns out, here in the United States, they actually have a dealer network that's almost 500 strong, including several shops around my area, literally within miles of my house, that actually carry and service their products. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is roll some footage of me at CES going through each of their bike models in detail, and then after I play that, I will circle back with you and leave you with some final details. So without further delay, let's jump into it. All right, folks, so we are at the AIMA e-bike display here at CES, and it looks like they have quite the selection of e-bikes here. Starting with this Manhattan, this is their commuter style folding electric bike. So this particular bike does have street tires. It's also got Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, as well as a 750 nominal watt rear hub motor. It is a 48 volt, 14.5 amp hour battery on here. It does have a front suspension with preload as well as lockout. And then of course that rear removable battery and integrated rack. I have to get some details on that rack, but because this is integrated in the actual frame of the bike, should have quite the substantial carrying capacity. Switching gears a little bit here, we've got the Big Sur. This is not a folding e-bike, although it kind of looks like one. It is a step-through all-terrain bike of sorts. It's got 20-inch by 4-inch fat tires. It's got a removable battery here on the lower side of the down tube, 750 nominal watt motor, 48 volt, 20 amp hour LG battery on here. So they actually use LG cells, and they use the 21700 high density cells instead of the 18650s that we typically see. There is our very large disc brake. Let me see what the size is on this. 203 millimeter front disc. We've got our front suspension with lockout as well as preload adjustment. We've got a pretty robust looking headlight there. And then of course we've got our Tektro hydraulic brake levers. And then our trigger style shifters does look like they give us 7 gears there. And then of course you've got your Bafang display. So that is the Big Sur. Working our way over. We do have the Key West. Don't have too many details on this here, but it does look like it's got a pretty sizable battery there. And then of course they've got the Venice here. And this Venice bike is actually a partnership between them and an Italian firm which focuses on the design. This particular bike has a 750 watt motor, Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, 180 millimeter rotors. It is a rigid front fork, so no suspension on this bike, but it does appear to be relatively lightweight, and it does come equipped with this 8-speed Shimano gear shift, which is really nice to see because a lot of e-bikes that you see nowadays have 7 speeds. So to see 8 speeds is going to give you a greater level of comfort when it comes to cruising around. Another AIMA bike that we've got here is the Santa Monica, and as you can see, this is another city cruiser styled bike. Couple stats here. It's got the rear hub Bafang 750 watt motor, 48 volt, 20 amp hour, 21700 LG cells, so nice battery pack they've got on here, 70 Newton meters of torque, as well as a Shimano 8-speed. Now this has definitely got a cruiser vibe to it. As you can see, you've got these leather wrapped handlebars. You've got a thumb throttle here on the left hand side. There's your controls, there's your Bafang display, and then of course you've got your headlight, looks like turn signals, a horn, and then an 8-speed gear shift. And looks like this here's got the Shimano Altus 8-speed gear shift. So once again, another example of you know, a bike that's got one extra gear, which is going to help go a long way in terms of comfort. And of course, this bike does have a front suspension, as well as a very nice rear rack and a leather wrapped seat. As you can see, they've got quite a few options out here, all named after places in California, as well as the Silver Peak here. This particular bike looks like it's got a Bafang rear 750 watt motor, got a TFT display, 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery with LG cells, it looks like. Torque sensor, 70 Newton meters of torque. So this particular bike should be a blast at riding up hills. All right, folks, welcome back. That was my brief overview of AIMA E-Bikes at CES in Las Vegas. And there's a couple things to point out. One, not all of those models are immediately available. Some will be released later in 2025. But a couple models that are currently available include the Santa Monica as well as the Big Sur. And the Big Sur comes in two varieties, 20-inch fat tire as well as 26-inch fat tire. And another really important thing to call out about these bikes is they actually come in different frame sizes, which is really cool because a lot of e-bike companies typically sell one-size-fits-all e-bikes, which is sometimes unfortunate because we all come in all different shapes and sizes. So it's nice to see that AIMA is offering multiple frame sizes to suit your particular needs. Another really cool announcement that they made at CES is that their Santa Monica and Big Sur are now officially UL certified, which means the batteries used in these bikes met rigorous standards set by UL, which is important from a safety perspective. So in case you didn't notice, a lot of the models that we looked at today from their lineup actually have a lot of commonalities. For example, they all have 750 nominal watt Bafang rear hub motors, they all have Tektro hydraulic brakes, and a lot of them have 203 millimeter rotors up front. And another thing that they all share is the fact that they all come equipped with torque sensors. Now, if you're not familiar with a torque sensor uses a pressure-based system. So the more pressure you apply to those pedals, the more output you're going to get from the motor. So what does that mean for the ride experience? Well, it's going to give you a more natural ride feel. So the harder you pedal, the more power you're going to get out of that bike. Some people, liken it to having superhuman legs. And another thing to call out about torque sensors is they're generally more efficient than their cadence sensor counterparts. But why am I mentioning all these commonalities? Well, it's going to come down to part support. Sometimes e-bike companies, have bikes that have all kinds of different motors, 250 watt motors, 500, 750, 1000 watt motors. They use different configurations of brakes. That means that those companies have to stock a bunch of different parts. By basically standardizing the components that you use on multiple e-bikes, you make it much easier to support, warranty claims, fulfilling, parts orders and things like that. So that's really nice that they incorporate that standardization into their e-bike line. Now, I don't know if you saw it in the close-up shots that I showed you, but I'll show you here. A lot of these e-bikes have pretty much no weld lines. It is very smooth, very clean. The paint jobs are high gloss. These are really good looking bikes, and they also happen to use high quality LG cells, and not just any LG cells. They're using high density 21700 cells instead of the typical 18650s that we see in a lot of budget oriented e-bikes. So there was definitely a lot of goodness at their booth today, and once again, I'm glad I stopped by. But let me know what you think about AIMA e-bikes. Is that something that you'd like to see me review on this channel? Let me know in the comment section below. Also happy to answer any questions, comments, concerns you might have. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.